knowing what you know about how they communicate, how they live, how they socialize, how they interact, do you really think that the bulk of education in the future is going to be a sometimes talented, sometimes not lecturer standing at a whiteboard lecturing to people, giving them assignments? Or the alternative might be for that student to wake up in Stillwater and pour himself or herself a fresh caribou coffee headquartered in Minnesota. Sit down on the couch and dial up any lecture when it's convenient for them. I'm not talking about the old, you know, what do they call it, television classroom where you had to be sitting at 9 o'clock in the classroom on a campus to watch a TV show from 9 o'clock at the campus, you know, 20 minutes away. This is digitally stored curriculum with the best lectures in the world from the best instructors in the world, with the ability to interact online with other students in a collaborative way when and how it's convenient for you. Now that's certainly going to be true for the non-traditional students, and the real life stories behind this are incredible, where you have parents of, single parents of 3 or 4 who have to work by day but can only take classes at times that are convenient for them. Sometimes it's 11 o'clock at night at their kitchen table. Other times it's just the efficiency of not having to drive and park and go through the hassle. Now this isn't going to replace higher education in the future, but the debate should increasingly not be about how many more buildings can we build. The debate should not increasingly be about how many more people do we need to run this place. The debate should increasingly be about how can we do this better, faster, cheaper through online learning. We have next door to where we're sitting Capella University. It is a graduate school, private graduate school, online university. If you have 15 minutes to go online and look at what they do, you would be amazed. You would be amazed, and they are growing. It's a privately held company. By the way, their stock is going through the roof in the middle of a recession. The market has already signaled and determined this is going to happen, is happening. It's happening as we sit here. So the only question is what places, what people, what institutions are going to lead it, and which ones are going to get comparative advantage and which ones are going to be left behind. So in Minnesota, we have asked and agreed to with our Minnesota State College and University system that 25% of all college courses, credits, will be offered online by 2015. Now in our state college and university system, we have 2 systems in Minnesota. One is the University of Minnesota system, which is our flagship campus plus a couple others. And then we have this broader state college and university system. I appoint the board of the state college and university system. They've agreed to the goal. And many of their campuses are already halfway or more there. It's exploding. The University of Minnesota has a slightly different view. They're interested, but it's more of a go slow, we'll take a look at it approach, so we hope that they do. But progress is being made there significantly. So I'm very excited about that. I think it's going to transform higher education, but I would hope for those in a policy-making position should be thinking about less bricks and mortar, more technology, more online. And by the way, once you get this stuff up and running, Wisconsin's got a K-12 online curriculum. Put a lot of time and energy into figuring out what does a great 8th grade, algebra curriculum look like. Now, do 50 states all need to go develop the same algebra online curriculum? Or could we get a state-of-the-art, world-class, in fact, get the best countries in the world to design, Algebra 1 and put it online? In fact, you go to class not just with people from Wisconsin, you might be going to go to class with people from Finland and South Korea and Singapore online. And so I think that's the future. And it's happening now, and I'm really excited about it. I think that's part of it. And lastly, in Minnesota, we have a program called Drive to Excellence. It's a banner for our government reform within state government more broadly. It's a project-based initiative, so rather than trying to have this thing be so broad and meaningless, it just kind of drifts. We've picked off so far 14 different projects, ranging from lean management practices to a variety of other things. But some of the Highlights include getting all of the grants, or as many of them as possible, for people who are interested in getting grants, or the folks who are distributing grants, on one website, one portal. Same with disability benefits and disability programs. We've also adopted a whole array of strategic sourcing practices. So again, this is private sector stuff from 20 years ago, but semi-new to government. If we're going to buy licenses, have licenses from Microsoft, if we're going to buy hardware and software, we need to aggregate those purchases. We need to do it in a bulk basis. We need to have common standards. We need to have quality control measures. We need to have interoperability capabilities and the like. That wasn't always being done 10, 15 years ago. It's being done now. So those are just some of the things under the banner Drive to Excellence that relate to technology. And then, since it is Minnesota, I will close with a hockey story. You'll note that the Detroit Red Wings won last night, and the Pittsburgh Penguins won the night before, so your finals in the Stanley Cup will be Detroit versus Pittsburgh. Now, this is only of interest to a very small number of Americans, but it's of interest to me and to many Minnesotans. So there's your finals. But it's appropriate, I think, in this state on that day to talk a little bit about Wayne Gretzky, who was perhaps the greatest hockey player ever to play the game. But it's interesting, he broke just about every record, led just about every record, but he wasn't very big. He wasn't very fast. His shot wasn't particularly hard or accurate, and yet he broke just about every record and was viewed by many as being the best player ever to play the game. And he was asked, well, what is your secret? You know, what do you do different? And he said, well, I skate to where the puck will be rather than where it is. So he, in other words, anticipated, he didn't skate to where the puck was, but he anticipated where it's going next. Put him in a much better position defensively and offensively. I think that's a very good reference point, illustration for the application of technology, not in the economy, but in government more broadly. We should be skating to where the puck's going next, and I'm glad that you in the room are doing that by attending this conference and in your daily service to your cities and states and counties across the country. Thanks very much for listening. I'll be happy to take your questions.